You are now listening to The Power of Gentle Talk with Ana Palacio, the talk that informs, inspires, and motivates.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ana Palacio. So happy to be back here this Saturday. I have a lovely guest today. You're really going to enjoy this conversation because, we do have conversations. They're not interviews. They're conversations where we really get to know each other and get more into the heart-to-heart of matters. Nadine Claire, how are you?
Hi, Anna. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
Well, thank you. Welcome. Welcome to the Power of Gentle Talk and to iHeart Media, WBZT 1230. This show is aired every Saturday between 2 and 3, so do pass it on because we have good conversations here. We have a wonderful topic today and very interesting. It's a blueprint for life. There's all kinds of blueprints, but today we're going to talk about a blueprint for life. And Nadine, I would like you to introduce yourself and let the audience know a little bit more about yourself.
So I'm Nadine Claire, and I am a health coach. I'm a raw foods chef. I'm a health educator. I am a final expense planner. I do a little of everything. I guess if I were to put it in one word, I am someone who helps, more than one word, but if I were to put it in a very simple paragraph, I am someone who helps you to put together a plan that helps you to navigate through the challenges of life, spiritually, financially, and health-wise.
Well, it sounds like it's from beginning to end, doesn't it?
Yes, it is. It really is.
Okay, well, my first question to you, what brought you to this point?
I was fortunate, several things. I was fortunate to have gone through a health challenge, a very serious health challenge where I was sent to the oncologist. And it was that experience that awakened me to the fact that I should be taking my health a little more seriously, that when I eat and as I was living, that I should not just be only doing that for entertainment, not just entertaining my taste buds with food, but my whole strategy now is to maintain good health. So I eat to maintain. So so that was one aspect of the health. The other was that my father was tragically killed, and that made me realize that if I held on to anger or hatred, I would become a very angry and sad person, and I didn't want that in my life. So I chose to forgive. And also at that point, even though it was a very rough time psychologically, I guess what kind of buffered some of that stress was that we were able to plan his funeral and put him, as they would say, put him away decently, in that honor his final wishes, because my parents had put plans in place for that. The third thing was that I was fortunate enough to go through a very shattering financial challenge where I almost lost everything. And in going through that, it made me realize that even though I had done such great plans to secure my finances, that I knew nothing, that I needed the guidance of someone who was a professional in the area to help me put a plan in place for that. So those were the three things.
Well, I mean, a lot of us are faced with the realities that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. But what made you really take notice and say, I'm going to take action or confront them?
This past summer, I was working in the field. As I told you, I'm a final expense person, and what that simply means is that I have a insurance license, and I help people to put their funeral plans in place. And it sounds morbid, but I enjoy doing that because it's pre-planning, and I'm all about the planning. And in going into these people's homes, 90% of the homes that I went into, everyone was on some type of medication, 5 or more. One lady I saw was on 10. I didn't think it was possible for anyone to be on that much medication. Not only were they heavily medicated, quite a lot of them were struggling financially. And most of them also were socially alienated. And I thought to myself, well, if this is happening to them, what would stop that from happening to me? You know, me or anyone else.
It's true. It's true. We really don't stop to ask ourselves those questions.
And I thought, well, in answering that question, I said, well, what could I do, or what have they done, or what could they have done differently to prevent them getting to this point?
Okay. So what did you start feeling at that point when you start, realizing, you have to face these realities? Is it desperation? Is it depression? Is it a fear factor?
It's a combination of those things, but I think what I felt more than anything else when I stepped into those homes was a deep void. It was an emptiness, that there was something missing, like a vacuum. And I know from experience that if vacuums aren't filled, nature will fill them. And we help nature to fill them. We do excessive shopping, we go into depression and get on medications, we do some very unwholesome behaviors, excessive eating, drinking, that kind of thing. So that was where I think I saw some of these people falling into this pattern.
So what started going through your mind? Is this where you decided that maybe you needed to have a plan?
Yes, exactly. That was what made me come up with this blueprint, because the 3 areas that I noticed, or 4 areas that I noticed that people were really suffering, and it was a physical pain for me. It was probably one of the worst summers I've ever gone through. Even with my father's death, I don't think I've ever felt that kind of pain, because it wasn't just one person. It was just about, I saw 30 people, and of the 30 people, at least 21 of them were in that situation. So that was what kind of had me brainstorming, and I realized that they may have had plans in place, but maybe they didn't revise these plans. And that's what even pushed me a little further to think, well, when architects are building houses, they put a blueprint. And a blueprint is a guide. It's a guide for showing them the steps that they need to take to have the structure completed. And it's also, a blueprint also has a contingency plan. If part A doesn't work, then you shift to B or C or D. And most of us don't have that, We plan months ahead of time about what we're going to do with our taxes.
Vacation, birthdays, anniversaries, but
yeah, we do. I mean, I'm guilty of that too. We put that in place, but do we ever stop to think, I may very well live to age 90. Do I have enough money to take me there? Will I be in good enough health? Well,
I think that's the scariest one.
That's the scariest one.
Because I often think about that, and I think, when I'm older, I want to be able to take care of myself as to the highest point of age that I can reach. I really want to be self-sufficient. And if you don't have a plan and you get very ill, it's funny that we're talking about this, because my aunt the other day, Thanksgiving, said to my sister, if something ever happens to me, I want you to be the one to take care of me, or to be in the room with me, and no one else. She had certain guidelines, and I said, gosh, I wonder why she's thinking about that. And she's a fairly young woman, she's still pretty young. And I thought, something in her is thinking, I don't have a plan.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that today our conversation is dealing with it, but it makes you think. It really does make you think, what kind of plan do I have, if I have one at all? And when you talked about being revised, now when you were setting up your blueprint or creating this blueprint, how often should we check into this blueprint?
Well, it's like anything else. I mean, we have the churches and religious organizations have a spiritual blueprint, and there are many similarities between churches and religious organizations. They may share teachings, they share ordinances, tenets, stuff like that. And a spiritual blueprint, if it's adhered to, brings one peace of mind and happiness and joy and all of these good things. A health blueprint would be reflected in the laws of health, which would be making sure that each day you're drinking clean water, you're breathing pure air, you're resting, you're adequately exercising, you're eating wholesome foods that are not genetically modified.
That is, I want to definitely address that, because I'm a big advocate of really getting informed.
Yeah.
And that's so important right now.
Of course,
That
of course.
we're ingesting is something that is truly real.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good point.
And not just ingesting, but what about detoxing? Because if you let it in, you need to let it out. And it's the same thing with our thoughts. We're letting thoughts in. We're also not letting go of thoughts that no longer work for us. And of course, there's our trust in God, our trust in the divine, our trust in the Creator. So these are things that we need to look at. There's also a blueprint for finances.
Tell me a little bit more of that, because that's another biggie. That's another important one.
Well, a blueprint for finance is something that we need to look at pretty often, and it's also something that we need to have a conversation with a trained and a certified person.
That's important, because there's people that don't give that importance, the importance that we should, like we're talking. And that's why we're having this conversation, because we're addressing issues that we either think we have time to plan for, or we'll do it next month, or next year will be a good time. It's it's too early. Why should I even think about it? So you're tuned in. I just want to remind everybody that you're tuned into WBZT 1230 and iHeart Radio. My guest today is Nadine Claire, and she's a coach, and she's coaching us on all areas of life, health, finances, and how to create a blueprint for our life. How is it that we're going to manage our life from now until it's time to transition? And we'll get to that a little bit later on. But you were speaking about the finances.
The finances, and the finances, we all need it. We all need money. We don't need to make money our masters. We don't need to make money be the driving force of our lives. But money definitely is something that we all need. And in us, in our daily lives, we need to have something in place, a plan in place, that we know how much we're taking in and how much is going out, how much we're spending on coffee, how much we're spending on entertainment, and how much we're saving.
And what would you tell those people that are saying right now, well, I don't even have enough to, or I barely pay my rent? Do you think everybody can really budget?
Everyone can put something aside, because we waste a lot. There are lots of things, we do waste a lot. Many times we all go grocery shopping, and we pick up things that we don't really need. We pick up unnecessary grocery, and then sometimes we have it in the refrigerator or in the cupboard for weeks. In the refrigerator, if it doesn't rot or sprout, throw it out. Don't buy it. Mm-hmm. Don't bring it in the house. If it's not going to grow and it's not going to decay, then it means it's genetically modified, and it means you probably took it from a package. And just be mindful of what you're buying in the store. Be mindful of what you're shopping, your grocery shopping. Every store offers sale. So buy some of the stuff on sale, Watch out for your spending. Every day a coffee. What's a coffee now, $2?
About.
And you have 2 or 3 a day. Some people have 2-3 cups of coffee a day. That's what, $6?
Just becoming more conscious.
Yeah, just becoming more conscious. So every cent that goes out, do I really need it? Do I really need to buy this dress just because it's on sale? I mean, okay, I'm going to buy it now because it's on sale, and maybe I can wear it in 2 months.
Yeah.
Well, 2 months you may not want to wear it. You may have lost some weight, and so it doesn't fit anymore. So
journaling, maybe?
Yeah, writing down every purchase and every purchase that's made. Thinking before you act, thinking before you buy.
Okay, well, it seems like we've touched on areas from beginning to end. Is there anything else?
Well, actually, there's another little area that we didn't touch it, and that's planning our our transition. And that's something that we need to look at also, and it's a conversation we need to have with our families.
Yeah, I think that's something that we keep putting off, and it is really, really important to address when it comes time to transition from this world to.
Yeah, and I have been assigned the task of planning that for a family member, and I happen to have gone to the cemetery this week, and I was told that the average cost of a funeral is between 10 and 13,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
10 and 13.
10, and this is as basic as you can get.
Well, what about cremation?
Cremation is a lot less, but there are lots
Not
of people who don't want to do that. And but if a full funeral is something that one wants, then definitely you need to have something in place. You know, whether it's funeral insurance, and that's a very good thing to purchase is funeral insurance, because it makes a lot of sense.
Well, I just want to also remind everyone once again that today's guest on the Power Gentle Talk is Nadine Claire, and she's a life coach on many areas of life. Today she is explaining to us that she has created a blueprint for life. It's a plan on how we really are going to, live out our life, and as it gets closer to making a transition from this world, we should not leave that for other people to take care of, basically.
Exactly.
So we're going to make a pause, just kind of pause right here for a little bit, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Thank you. Okay, so we've been speaking with Nadine Claire. She's my guest today on the Power Gentle Talk, and we were discussing, making those last arrangements, so those funeral arrangements that we all talk about or don't want to talk about. Well, what happens when you don't have this blueprint? Can you maybe give the audience some ideas on how to prepare? Like, where could they get assistance? I mean, county, obviously if they have insurance. So can you expand a little bit on those areas?
The state Social Security provides death benefits if you qualify, and that's only $255.
Oh, see, that's something I didn't know.
Yeah,
a lot of people may not know.
Yeah, and if you're a veteran, it's $300.
Why is that? That does not make sense.
Well, that's what they provide, and I can tell you,
it should be free.
Yes, it should be for having served your country, but I can tell you, it's not much. It doesn't buy a wreath.
No.
It doesn't buy a wreath. And if you have life insurance, then by law, they can take up to 6 months to pay.
Wow.
And what a lot of people do is they sometimes sign their life insurance policy over to the funeral companies, not realizing, the family members may do that. Or the life insurance, the funeral homes will sometimes accept it as partial payment, meaning you sign a waiver where they allow you to go ahead and do the full funeral, the burial, and then when the life insurance comes in, then you pay them later. But then there's a hidden fee. Sometimes it's as much as $600.
Wow.
In addition to what the cost of the funeral is. So, the cost of the funeral plus this fee, and then the family gets the remainder of the policy.
So that in itself is very good advice, because, in that moment when you're going through all this pain and hurt and confusion, those hidden fees, it's good to know about asking at that moment. Is there anything else I should know about?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And many times people are in such grief. I mean, they're in such pain that they don't really think, and so they just sign the forms. Now, the company that I'm with, what we do is we have you decide, say you've decided to purchase this policy with us, then there is another company that steps in, or once you sign up with us, there's another company that you become a member of. And prior to you passing, you go ahead and you tell them exactly what you would like to happen. And when you pass, the family member contacts them, and once they contact them, then they will step in and put things together help the family to put things together, so they relieve the family member of the burden or the stress of having to go ahead and do the full planning.
And that really, I think, is the best
Yes.
blueprint too.
Oh yes, because it's something that's in place. It's something to prevent the family from having the extra stress.
So we have about maybe 4 minutes left to this segment. I just want to go over what we said, which I didn't know, and it's good to recap on. You could check with your Social Security and see if they provide.
Well, I know for a fact it's $255
for everyone that
and if you're a veteran, then it's $300.
Which is, I thought when you first said it that's what they would charge them, but that's what they allow.
That's what they give. That's a check that they give you. No,
for one flower. One flower.
Yes, sadly.
That's sad. Yeah. Okay, so you check with you get your 255 or your 300. And you come up with the other 4,000 and something. Oh no, excuse me, 13.
Yes,
13,000. You said was
up to could be up to 13,000.
Okay. The other one you mentioned was to, of course, have everything set up
right
beforehand.
So all the family has to do is make a phone call, and everything is executed.
Yeah, that's definitely the best choice.
Oh yes.
Just have all this
and that policy is only for burial. It's just the funeral, so you're free then to use the rest of the money, or the life insurance then goes to the family. It's not touched.
Alrighty, well, Nadine, I want to thank you. We're going to wrap up our first half in just another 2 minutes or so, but I want to thank you for coming on the show today. I'm enjoying the conversation. I'm learning a lot. And it's creating awareness in me, really, in things that I need to address as well, just like I'm sure the audience is thinking and becoming conscious of, because it is a topic that we avoid, quite a bit.
And it's not as scary, the scariest thing is just the thought. But once you step in and you just have it as a casual meal conversation.
It's just being responsible, really. If you think about it.
That's what it is.
And being conscious that sooner or later, we're all going to leave.
It's a road we have to take.
Yeah, we really do. Well, when we come back on our second half, I would like to kind of recap a little bit on everything that we spoke about in the first one, just because someone might have just tuned in. I want to give them the opportunity to listen to what you had to say about the blueprint for life. We have blueprint for buildings and for a whole bunch of other stuff, but this is a blueprint for life. So maybe we'll touch on finance a little bit and spirituality, just kind of how we need to be anchor ourselves on something that's going to give us comfort and ground us and help us to think a little more clearly. Thank you so much for tuning into WBZT 1230 and iHeart Radio.